happy little games. Hey everybody, I just wanted to let each and every one of you know I will be appearing April 5th through the 7th at Milwaukee's Baird Center at the Midwest Gaming Classic. For those of you who don't know, the MGC is a retro gaming extravaganza in which a number of industry professionals and industry pioneers take part in one of the largest retro gaming conventions around. No matter what your fancy is, whether it be arcade games, pinball machines, console games, tabletop games, and even RPGs, this convention has it all. A number of video game celebrities will also be present, such as Daniel Pazina, who played Johnny Cage, as well as Eugene Jarvis, who created Smash TV and Robotron. There will even be iconic vehicles such as the DeLorean from the Back to the Future series. You'll be able to enjoy live entertainment, after-party shows, and more, which means you'll have a good time no matter what your age is. Also, all of the arcade games are set to free play, which almost guarantees it'll be fun. The event takes place April 5th through April 7th at the Baird Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so if you see me, stop by and say hello. You'll be glad you did. The schedule has been locked down, so I will be appearing at 7 o'clock on Saturday in the presentation hall along with various other YouTubers, and then on Sunday on the bonus stage by myself at 11:30. This video is a special request by longtime supporter Justin Reed. Thanks a bunch, my friend. Ever since the dawn of time, big burly men would square off against each other either to settle a score or just to prove who the baddest man was. The one thing these pugilistic pioneers had in common were their fists of steel that delivered lots and lots of action. Now, if you were looking for a little man-on-man action and didn't quite have the sack to do so in person, you could always get that aggression out by playing it on the small screen. Today, I am taking a look at a little scene boxing game that I first encountered in the arcades, but enjoyed oh so much more when it was released at home. The game I am referring to is King of Boxer, or as it's known here in the States, Ring King. This 3D top-down view boxing game provided lots of arcade action and also lots of fun. What was the controversy surrounding this game? What does this game have to do with RBI baseball? So put on your gloves and let's get ready to rumble, because this is the history of Ring King. When it comes to strapping on those gloves and knocking the snot out of someone virtually, people have been doing this for a long time. The very first boxing video game was released all the way back in 1976 in the arcades by Sega and was named Heavyweight Champ. The controls were very unique, with the controller being in the shape of a glove in which you had to move it up and down to change the arm height while pushing it in and releasing it to punch. There have been a number of boxing games released over the last 50 years, with some good ones, some bad ones, and obviously some mediocre ones. I can't go through and list each and every single one, but some of my favorites include 1983's Punch-Out!, as well as the even more successful home version, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! For the NES. The arcade game and its sequel are so much fun that whenever I am out and about and see it, I have to play it just to give Bear Hugger the beating he deserves. Another of my favorites was the game Fight Night on the Commodore 64, which featured cartoon graphics and some fun gameplay as well. This was made by Accolade, and they produced some pretty fantastic software in their time. Final Blow, or Buster Douglas Knockout Boxing, was full of fast-paced, arcade-style action with gigantic characters on the screen, but it did tend to get a bit repetitive. However, it was always fun to play for just a few rounds. Ready to Rumble was another arcade-style boxing game with over-the-top gameplay and a cameo by a certain King of Pop. And of course, we had one of the best boxing games of all time, the entire Fight Night franchise. In the year 1984, Developer Masao Suzuki had just been inspired to start his next arcade game. He had founded the company of wood police in Japan in the summer of 1984 after leaving Nijibutsu in 1982. He had wanted to do the one thing he was passionate about, which was create arcade games. Mr. Suzuki also had another passion, which was professional wrestling. He had taken notice of the 6'7", 300-pound Hulk Hogan. As a matter of fact, one of the only reasons he went to see Rocky III was for the big man himself. When it came time to develop a new arcade game, it was initially going to be a wrestling title that would feature a number of knockoffs, including the immoral Hulk Hogan. He soon realized that there was a huge gap in the arcades when it came to boxing games, so he decided to switch to a fast-paced title with large cartoony graphics. He loved the hard-hitting action from Rocky III and wanted to replicate something like that, but only in the arcades. To accomplish this, he used a custom board utilizing the Z80 processor with one big difference in the gameplay. The fighters can roam around a pseudo 3D ring, allowing for the action to be viewed from two different angles. This was very unique for its time and helped the game stand out among its contemporaries. King of Boxer, or Ring King, was released in the arcades in 1985. You take on the role of an unnamed boxer who is competing in the Ultimate Mustache Championships. The boxers you face are just palette swaps, but they all have one thing in common, which is a fluffy head of hair that would make Charles Xavier jealous and a nice bushy lip broom. To be honest, the guys look like they just stepped off the set of a 1970 stag film and are ready to go. You have to take on a number of opponents as you attempt to become the heavyweight champion of the world. You start at the bottom rung of the ladder, and with more victories comes an increase in difficulty. Each fight lasts for an increasing number of rounds, starting with 4 and going all the way up to 15 by the 6th match. Each round lasts 1 minute with the timer counting up from 0. Each fighter has a number of different punches and also having the ability to defend yourself. The controls are simple, utilizing a standard joystick with 3 separate buttons. One for jab, another either for a hook or uppercut depending on your position. If you are facing up or down, you will perform a hook. Otherwise, if you are facing left or right, you will unleash a deadly uppercut. The third button is for defense, which allows you to dodge or duck the oncoming onslaught. You do have to exercise a bit of strategy, as each boxer has a certain level of stamina which will deplete every time your boxer is hit. It will also go down a lot quicker if you throw punches too fast. If your stamina is too low, it will cause your boxer to throw slower punches. It also affects whether or not your boxer will get up off the mat after being knocked down. If you are getting the tar kicked out of you and just can't take it anymore, you can always throw a few low blows to help even the score. At the bottom of the screen, you'll notice a hit meter which shows how many hits you and your opponent have successfully landed. If the game ends in a draw, then the winner will be calculated by the number of successful punches that were thrown. Also at the bottom of the screen is a multicolored bar which will slowly deplete. If you are knocked down in the blue portion of the meter, you will stand up rather quickly. If you are knocked down in the yellow portion, you will stand up just before the referee reaches 10, and if you are knocked down in the red, it is lights out. If you are exhausted and the two boxers approach each other, they will get in a clinch, at which point a little bit of stamina is restored for both players. This makes total sense, as I do this with my buddies when I'm feeling just a little bit tired. In between each round, the boxers return to the corner, giving you a chance to restore some of that stamina by rapidly pressing the buttons as fast as you can. The referee is a nice touch, although he himself is also a member of the Mustache Mafia. We even get a muted, muffled 10 count, but that's okay because it still sounds pretty good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
In between each round, the fighter's name and stats are listed, including the prize money you are fighting for. You will receive prize money for each fight that you win. You will earn a bonus of $1,000 for every 10 successful hits you land in the match. You can also earn an extra $2,000 for special punches that will knock your opponent out in a specific way. After certain fights, you are able to earn bonus prize money if you can accurately predict which round you will knock out your opponent. Fighters will sometimes get rocked so hard they will go flying up and out, and even in certain rare instances, they are sent flying out of the ring, resulting in an instant loss. If you make it to the 6th match, you will be fighting for the middleweight class world title. If you manage to overcome the odds and win the match, you are shown holding the belt. The game will continue on, allowing you to defend the title and earn more money.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There was a bit of controversy when it came to the cutscenes in between each round. Your trainer is shown pumping you up in a most unusual way. To me, even back in 1985, it always reminded me of the inflatable pilot scene from the movie Airplane. There were a couple of cosmetic differences between King of Boxer and Ring King. King of Boxer only allowed for single-player action, whereas Ring King allowed for 2 simultaneous players. The music on the Game Over screen is a short snippet from the song Shave and a Haircut. The music on the high score screen is from Baby Elephant Walk by Henry Mancini and used in the movie Hatari starring John Wayne. You know you have a successful video game on your hands when it receives its very own LCD handheld. Acclaim released this in 1989. The arcade game was a moderate hit but had greater success on the home markets. It was only released on 2 consoles, with the first one having been released here in the States in 1987. The arcade game was distributed by Data East here in the States, so they were put in charge of the home NES version. Over in Japan, it was released by Namcot under the Family Sports line for the Famicom, with the title being changed to Family Boxing. RBI Baseball was the first game released in this line for the Famicom, with its name changed to Pro Baseball Family Stadium. And also, the horse racing simulation Family Jockey was also released under this banner. Since the arcade version of Ring King was short on replayability, Data East decided to expand the single-player quest and include a number of new modes. The controls have also been changed slightly, with you having 2 buttons instead of 3, with both punch buttons being combined. When the game first starts up, you are given 9 points to assign to your fighter. You can assign these points to either punches, speed, or stamina. If you want to increase your player's power, you can always enter the training mode. A nice 2-player versus mode has been added, as well as a ranking mode in which you compete in either the Rookie, US, or World divisions. There is also a tournament mode in which 8 players can participate. And finally, there is a watch mode so you can sit back and enjoy 2 giant bruisers duking it out. The graphics are very nice and do a good job at representing the arcade original. The colors are a bit muted, but control-wise it feels just like the arcade game aside from the slightly different controls. The referee even counts to 10. There are a few differences in the gameplay over the arcade version, such as the timer counting down from 59 instead of counting up. On occasion, a letter P could be thrown into the ring from someone in the audience. Whichever player picks it up earns a free point to distribute among his stats, but only if you win the bout. Also, you'll notice that the status bar from the bottom of the screen is missing, but it still functions in the same way. And finally, a handy but dandy password feature was also included. The NES version was a huge success, selling over 250,000 copies. A version was also released in the arcades for the Nintendo Versus system entitled Versus TKO Boxing. This was licensed by Data East, and although it's based on the tried and true NES version, there are some differences in the core presentation. There are now 3 different weight classes you can select, with each division having 5 fights you have to compete in. These are Amateur, Contender, and Top Ranked. Since this game was designed to eat as many quarters from your pockets as possible, the difficulty has also been increased. The MSX2 version is based on the Famicom port, only with updated graphics. This was released exclusively in Japan and features all of the same modes as found in the Famicom version. One thing that was changed regarding the graphics is that the screen no longer scrolls and the entire ring is now viewable. Apparently, this has something to do with the hardware on the MSX, but it doesn't change the gameplay at all. It still plays and feels like Ring King, although a bit slower and a bit choppier. There is quite a bit of flickering and sprite tearing on the screen, which does hurt the overall enjoyment factor just a bit. Something else I should mention are the rather racist portrayals of certain boxers. Clearly, it was a different time. And there you have it, folks, the history of Ring King. This game was not very popular in the arcades, but it was always a boxing game I enjoyed. Once I sunk my teeth into this game over a long 3-day weekend in which my parents rented the cartridge, I was hooked. If you've never had the chance to put on the gloves, knock some people around, all the while getting some extra special attention from your corner man, be sure and give this game a shot. You'll be glad you did. Once again, this video was a special request by Justin Reed. Thanks for being a longtime supporter of mine. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, if you would like to support me on Patreon, please click the link below. If you would like to contribute but not sign up for my Patreon, you can always click the donate button up above. Thanks everyone for watching.